December 31st, 2014. Marina Boelter. 18-year-old female Marina Boelter was last seen on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2014, leaving work outside the IGA grocery store in Bloomfield, Indiana. It was 6 p.m. on New Year's Eve, and young mother Marina Boelter was excited for the evening ahead. She had plans to ring in the new year with an older man she had recently begun dating. But he wasn't the only guy in her life. As Marina stepped out of the IGA that evening, her ex-boyfriend and child's father was waiting in the parking lot. He would watch in shock as Marina got into a mysterious car and drove away with an unidentified man. This would be the last reported sighting of Marina Boelter. Marina had been through some rough times as a teenager, but thanks to her hard work, things were looking up. She had a new apartment and a job at the IGA. She had also completed her GED and recently been accepted to college with plans to become a pastry chef. But in the weeks before her disappearance, there were some possible signs of turbulence for the young mother. Marina's infant son was in foster care, and she had recently missed a scheduled visitation with him, something she never did, especially since she wanted to regain full custody in the future. Marina had also deleted her Facebook profile several weeks before she vanished, but she kept up another profile on a modeling website. Some have speculated the modeling site could be a clue to a double life. New Year's Eve came and went, and it was now 2015. That January 1st, the older man Marina had a date with, who happened to also be married, showed up looking for her at the IGA. She had been a no-show for the New Year's Eve party at his house and had left no explanation why. Her manager and co-workers confirmed she had also blown off work that day with no notice. One co-worker later confirmed that Marina's behavior the weeks before she went missing had left them with a bad feeling when she wasn't at work. It was then Marina was officially reported missing to authorities. Immediately, there would be two persons of interest. The first was Marina's ex and baby daddy, Douglas DJ Lockhart, age 22. It was Lockhart who reported to police that Marina had rode away from the IGA parking lot in an unknown car. Although separated, Marina and DJ apparently still had plenty of drama. Marina's stepsister Ashley later stated they had been in a fight the day she vanished, and that DJ was at the IGA parking lot in an attempt to speak with her. Although Marina's family was initially suspicious of Lockhart, most believed he was innocent in her disappearance, and his cooperation with her family and the police would clear him as a suspect. But that wouldn't be the end of the story for DJ Lockhart. The other person of interest was the unknown man who drove away with Marina in the unspecified metallic-colored Mercury Milan. Initially a mystery, police were able to identify and interview the unknown driver, although his name has been withheld. To date, the unnamed man has not been charged in Marina's disappearance, but police did unearth his unsettling rap sheet, including criminal convictions for abduction and rape. According to police, the man stated he knew Marina from work, possibly as a co-worker or customer, and was simply giving her a ride home. The man claimed Marina had requested to be dropped off at a pizzeria near her apartment to conceal her home address. The man then claims he drove off and didn't see her again. Perhaps a coincidence, investigators found the last ping to Marina's cell phone was around 6 p.m., the same time she left work and drove off with the unnamed man. Disturbingly, he wasn't the only violent ex-felon with access to Marina. A man living in her apartment building had been in prison for decades, charged with murder for the rape and torture of a young girl, which included removing her eyes and lighting her body on fire. Despite his horrific background, police did not consider him a person of interest in Marina's disappearance. On February 12, 2015, 6 weeks after Marina was last seen, a bizarre incident occurred DJ Lockhart burst into the home of a Bloomfield man, Michael Rogers, to aggressively confront him over his past relationship with Marina and another woman who was present with DJ at the time. Lockhart turned violent and attacked Rogers in his living room, leading to a self-defense stab wound in Lockhart's chest. Despite calling 911 and attempting first aid, the stab wound was fatal. Rogers was not charged in DJ's death, and police do not believe the incident was related to Marina's disappearance. But with Lockhart gone, also went critical information on Marina's life and what may have happened to her. In another bizarre incident, also in February 2015, just a week before Lockhart's stabbing, Indiana State Police arrested 21-year-old Danny Deckard for impersonating a police officer and driving with a suspended license. Decker had visited a home in Bloomfield, posing as an undercover narcotics officer investigating a missing persons case. A case from New Year's Eve. Although bizarre, police believe Decker has no connection to Marina's disappearance, and that he may have been using the ruse to steal the identity of the people he interviewed for his fake police investigation. So what happened to Marina Boelter? Did she ever make it home to her apartment that day? Was she the victim of a jealous ex-boyfriend? Or was she involved in another life of older men and sugar daddies that remains a secret? Or did her proximity to convicted violent felons put her in the wrong place at the wrong time? Only one thing is for sure. Marina's young son has a father who is dead and a mother who is still missing. Unfortunately, there were no security cameras at the IGA or the strip mall it was in, so police have asked the public to share any video footage from New Year's Eve 2014 of US Route 231 in or around Bloomfield, Judson Street, or Seminary Street. Marina's family and friends are still actively searching for her and working hard to keep the case alive and bring Marina home. Marina's hair may be dyed reddish brown. She has a scar on her lip, pierced ears, and a tattoo of a star with butterfly wings at her foot. She was last seen wearing denim jeans with rhinestones on the back pockets, a peacoat, Nike tennis shoes, and a cross necklace. Marina also has a purse with a picture of the Philadelphia Love statue on it. If you have any information on the disappearance of Marina Boelter, contact the Indiana State Police, the Bloomfield Police Department, or the Greene County Crime Stoppers Anonymous Tip Hotline. March 5th, 2011. Marizela Perez. Female Marizela Perez was last seen on March 5th, 2011 in Seattle, Washington. The afternoon she disappeared, the 18-year-old freshman was on her way back to the University of Washington campus from the Rainier Beach home she lived in with her aunt, uncle, and cousin. Born in the Philippines, Marizela grew up in New Jersey, but embraced life in her new home in Seattle. Perez was described by her college friends and family as an upbeat person and dedicated student who brought her creativity, love of art, and sense of style to wherever she went. The last confirmed sighting of Marizela was a stop to a Safeway grocery store in the University District. She bought orange juice, trash bags, Tylenol, and over-the-counter sleeping medication. Marizela left the store and headed north into an area known for its population of transient street people. These stills taken at 2:19 p.m. from the Safeway surveillance cameras are the last known images of Marizela. As she walked towards campus to study with friends, Marizela received a text at 2:45. After that, all contact with her phone went dead. By later that evening, when Marizela failed to return home or alert her family that she would be late, they became instantly concerned. Their fear grew as phone calls, texts, emails, and social media messages all went unanswered. Marizela had recently been through a traumatic breakup with her boyfriend of 6 years, and her parents were concerned that she was in an unstable frame of mind. She had also been suffering from depression for some time and was taking medication when she vanished. A private investigator hired by the family believed Marizela took her own life, but her parents weren't convinced, citing that she had seemed happy in the days prior to her disappearance. Marizela had her laptop with her when she vanished, so when activity appeared on her instant messenger account 2 weeks later, it raised more questions. Was it her? or had someone stolen or found the laptop and was using it? Some observers of the case have speculated that the sleeping aids and trash bags Marizela purchased could have been used in a suicide attempt, although others doubt this method would have worked. Marizela's body was never recovered, nor were any of the items with her that day. With no evidence of a crime, police were unable to get a warrant for Marizela's laptop and cell phone records. Without those records, it remains unknown if she had contact with someone that day who may hold vital information on her movements. And without her internet searches, it's impossible to determine if she had looked into suicide or had other unknown intentions. Further complicating the issue is the fact Marizela was known to spontaneously explore the city, and it wasn't unusual for her to disappear for a few hours. Perhaps she had explored somewhere and fallen into a hole or ravine where her body was lost, or she may have been abducted. On the 8th anniversary of her disappearance, Marizela's family and friends continue to hold out hope she will be found. But without the information from her laptop and phone, there have been desperately few leads to follow. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Marisela Perez, contact the Seattle Police Department or the Washington State Patrol Missing Persons Unit. September 20, 2017. Corinna Slusser. 19-year-old female Corinna Slusser was last seen on September 20th, 2017 in Queens, New York. A small-town girl from Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, Corinna had dreams of the big city and an even bigger future. Unfortunately, the bright lights of Gotham can turn dark, and people and promises aren't always what they seem. A cautionary tale from hell, it took only a few months for this restless teenager to go from chasing her dreams to living a nightmare. For small-town cheerleader and aspiring makeup artist Corinna Slusser, the end of senior year couldn't come fast enough. Earlier in 2017, Corinna had attempted suicide and was severely depressed, but after recovering, she began to bury her pain with a new interest: partying. As tensions grew with her mother at home and fed up with school, the teen was desperate for an exit. In a stunning move, Corinna dropped out of high school one class shy of graduation and moved in with friends in a neighboring town. That July, Corinna met 32-year-old Giovanni Paguero, who enticed her with an offer to live in New York City rent-free. Eager for the fresh start, Corinna left for New York with only the clothes on her back, a cell phone, and IDs. Initially surprised by her sudden departure, Corinna's mother and friends reported she seemed fine during regular phone calls, and her social media posts showed off her new apartment. But life in the big city wasn't what she bargained for, and it soon became obvious that Giovanni wasn't a friend. He was a violent pimp. On August 25th, 2017, while living in a seedy hotel, Corinna called 911 to report Paguero had stolen money from her and choked her when she demanded it back. The incident led to an order of protection for Corinna, with a copy being mailed to her mother's address, prompting a call to her daughter, who downplayed the incident, saying everything was fine. A few weeks later in September, Corinna's grandfather passed away. Originally planning to attend the funeral in Florida, Corinna canceled last minute, claiming her IDs had been stolen and she was unable to fly. But she promised her mother she would be in Pennsylvania when she returned. It was during the period of the funeral and the following week that Corinna's mother, still in Florida, lost contact with her daughter. Even worse, she returned home to an empty house. With no way to contact her daughter and no idea of her whereabouts, Corinna was reported missing. A few days later, police confirmed an anonymous tip that Corinna was seen leaving a Queens hotel known for prostitution and drugs early in the morning of September 20th, 2017. That was the last time anyone would see or hear from Corinna Slusser. A fan of social media, over her time in New York, Corinna's posts became increasingly sexual, with her appearing thinner and often in skimpy clothing. The last post on Corinna's Instagram has left many people confused. Dated September 10th, it's unclear if the photo is of Corinna, another girl, or even a man. There's also been speculation that the photo was taken in South America. Many believe Corinna did not make this post. The trail to find Corinna ran cold for over a year until November 2018, when NYPD arrested 23-year-old Ishi Woni for sex trafficking and exploitation of young women throughout the New York region. In his trial, it was revealed Woni prostituted Corinna until just before his arrest, along with other young women, including a minor and a disabled woman with a third-grade IQ. He even used Corinna in online ads. A year later, in November 2019, Woney was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in prison. In a heartbreaking end to the trial, Corinna's mother asked the convicted pimp to his face what happened to her daughter. Shocking the court, Woney gave her a reply. He said he never passed her off to anybody and that he had no idea if she was dead or alive, but hoped she was alive. Corinna first met Woney after the 911 call against Peguero in August 2017. She moved to a seedy hotel in the Bronx with Woney and several other women who worked for him. This arrangement is what likely prevented her from going to her grandfather's funeral that September. Investigators found over 800 text messages between Corinna and Ishi over a 10-day period between September 10th and 20th, 2017. Eventually, jealousy led to an altercation between Corinna and other women staying with Ishi, so she left alone for a hotel in Rego Park, Queens, the same hotel she was last seen at on September 20th, less than 3 months after she had first come to New York. Investigators believe Corinna is still alive and continues to be under the control of human traffickers. If she is still on the East Coast, she may be working a known business corridor along the I-95 highway from Maine to Florida, with stops at brothels, hotels, and casinos. She could also be appearing in ads for escort services along that route. In reality, though, she could be anywhere, including overseas, with some speculating she may have been smuggled out in a shipping container. So what happened to Corinna Slusser? Was she harmed in retribution for calling 911? Or has she been lost in the shuffle of human trafficking, sold and resold, passed from pimp to pimp? Or is Corinna living her life somewhere and simply choosing not to contact her family? Corinna has a very distinctive flower tattoo on her sternum, as seen in this provocative photo from her social media. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Corinna Slusser, call NYPD's Crime Stoppers hotline, the FBI, or leave an anonymous tip online at tips.fbi.gov. June 22nd, 2013. Brookelyn Fartrhing. 18-year-old female Brookelyn Farthing was last seen on June 22, 2013, in Berea, Kentucky. An overnight bag with plans to sleep at a friend's house turned on its head, as Brooke is left stranded at a party and then at the isolated home of a male stranger. Ominous texts and a suspicious fire have investigators almost certain the young woman was taken against her will. For recent high school graduate Brooke Farthing, life in Berea, Kentucky was good. She was described by her sister as a spunky, tell-you-how-it-is, lovable person who loved animals and the outdoors. The day before her disappearance, Brooke had passed her driving test and was having a great visit with her grandfather and family, with more family plans for the weekend. The evening prior to her disappearance, Brooke attended a house party with her cousin and sister, who quickly left, and had plans to crash that night with one of her girlfriends. During the course of the party, Brooke had a falling out with her girlfriend, who wanted to hang out with a guy that night instead, so the sleepover plans were nixed. Stranded and desperate at the party house with no ride home, Brooke was seen helping an intoxicated friend when they both accepted a ride from an older male, Josh Hensley, who claimed to be friends with an ex-boyfriend of Brooke's. Allegedly, the trio went to look at some horses before dropping off the third party, eventually returning to Josh's foreclosed home in Berea. Once at the secluded house, Brooke ignored the lack of power and water and busily worked her phone, desperate to get a relative or friend to pick her up. Finally, an ex-boyfriend who worked the night shift agreed to come by around 7 a.m. At 4:26 that morning, Brooke sent him a text that had an ominous request. "Please hurry, I'm scared." At 5:30 a.m., her ex received another text from Brooke's phone. "Never mind, I'm okay. I'm going to a party in Rockcastle County." Although it was odd that Brooke would drive 25 minutes at 5:30 in the morning to go to a party, her ex read the text and skipped on picking her up. The Rockcastle party text, which investigators and family believe was not sent by Brooke, began a bizarre series of events which still remain unexplained. Josh claims he left Brooke that morning sitting on the couch smoking a cigarette as he went to check on some horses at a local farm. When Josh returned at 7 a.m., he claimed Brooke was gone, and even more sinister, the couch she had been sitting on was engulfed in flames. The strong fire had burnt the couch and floor and was identified as suspicious by investigators. Brooke and her phone were gone, but left behind on the front porch was her purse, cowboy boots, and the overnight bag. Was Brooke waiting outside on the porch to leave, get picked up, or just to get away from inside the house and whoever was in there? Her family believes she wouldn't have left without her belongings, and that she had no reason to run away. Brooke's phone last pinged just minutes away from Josh's foreclosed home in the Blue Lick Road area of Berea. During that first 24 hours, Brooke's phone would receive over 1,000 calls. It hasn't been released how many, if any, were from Josh. Multiple extensive searches, including with divers and cadaver dogs, canvassed over 16,000 acres in 3 counties. One search included 200 volunteers and covered a 1.5-mile radius around Josh's home. The secluded and remote area Brooke was last seen in is notoriously difficult to traverse, with thickly wooded terrain, steep inclines, caves, sinkholes, abandoned wells, and multiple bodies of water, all crisscrossed by interconnected country lanes. Based on the facts of the case made public by investigators, many observers believe Josh, the last known person to see Brooke, knows more about her disappearance than he claims. Could a small-town cover-up be in play, or does law enforcement know exactly what happened, but lack the evidence to prosecute a case? Or were there other people involved, possibly living in the foreclosed home, who could have acted as an accomplice? Is it possible that when Josh went to see the horses, he was actually taking Brooke somewhere, leaving the cigarette to burn down the couch? Josh was never charged in Brooke's disappearance, but in August 2020, Josh Hensley was arrested by Kentucky State Police with 2 other men from Berea for possession of child pornography. The arrest was not connected with Brooke, though. Brooke's case is still open and active. It is considered suspicious, and criminal involvement is suspected. Farthing's nickname is Brooke. She has pierced ears and a birthmark on her left hip. She was last seen wearing a gray t-shirt with the Madison County FFA, Future Farmers of America logo, and light blue denim shorts. This case has been the topic of small-town gossip, so investigators are asking the public for facts and actionable info, not rumors. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Brookelyn Fartrhing, please call the Kentucky State Police or email her family at findbrookeky@gmail.com. October 13, 2018. Karlie Guse. 16-year-old female Karlie Guse was last seen at her father and stepmother's home before dawn on the morning of October 13, 2018. Karlie lived in the White Mountain Estates area of Chalfin Valley in Mono County, California, a rural mountain town nestled between the Inyo National Forest and the Nevada border, approximately a 5-hour drive north from Las Vegas and 4 hours south from Reno. Many of the questions surrounding Karlie's disappearance began the night before, when she stormed out of a party she was attending with her boyfriend and some friends. The original police report stated that Karlie may be disoriented, a comment later explained by her stepmother, Marisela Perez, who said Karlie admitted to smoking marijuana that night. Melissa claimed she received a frantic call from Karlie to be picked up at the party, only to arrive and to find her stepdaughter nowhere. After a search, she found Karlie running down a dark road, almost a mile from the party. When she got in the car, Melissa claimed Karlie seemed paranoid and anxious. Back home, her stepmother tried to calm her nerves and spent the night with her in the same room, where the teenager remarked she was afraid to go to sleep because she would be killed. In a final text to her boyfriend, Karlie mentioned she believed the marijuana may have been laced. Karlie was last seen laying awake in her bed by her stepmother around 5:30 a.m. It's unclear exactly when Karlie left the room or why, but when Melissa woke up at 7 that morning, Karlie had vanished, leaving behind her personal belongings, including her cell phone. Karlie lived in a town of 650 people, so anyone walking around would definitely stand out. 2 witnesses reported seeing a girl wearing gray sweatpants or jeans, a white t-shirt, and Vans brand shoes walking through the neighborhood between 6:30 and 7:30 that morning. Another witness reported seeing a young woman matching Karlie's description a mile from her home walking south near Highway 6, a remote desert highway, at approximately 7:30 a.m. Despite several searches of the area, including with dogs and helicopters, no clues were found to indicate the whereabouts of the wandering teenager. After several months, her case went cold. Some people, including Karlie's birth mother, have claimed inconsistencies with the police investigation and her stepmother's story, and they believe both her and Karlie's father are covering something up. As evidence, they point to a recording Melissa made of a rambling Karlie that night after the party and a text exchange between Melissa and Karlie's boyfriend the morning she went missing. To date, no one has been charged with any crimes. At one point, some people believed they had seen Karlie on a YouTube channel as an abused-looking girl named Kate, being held captive, possibly for ransom. After authorities looked into the girl in the videos, it was determined it was not her. So what did happen to Karlie Guse? Did she overdose at home and was it covered up? Or did she leave the house as the witnesses claim and then was abducted while walking near Highway 6, possibly still disoriented from whatever narcotics she had been exposed to? Or is there another explanation that no one has come forward with yet? If you have any information on the whereabouts of Karlie Lynn Guse, contact the Mono County Sheriff's Office or give an anonymous tip online at tips.fbi.gov.